Okay, good morning and good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to this webinar, Graphic Design and Art Direction, Keys to a Creative Future. Today, here we are with Samuel Zitelli, that is our Graphic Design and Art Direction course leader with the BA, and with Liliana Raibazzur, that is our Naba students of the BA in Graphic Design and Art Direction, that will show us what she did and she's doing during her part here in Naba. I leave the stage to Samuel, and thanks for joining this webinar.
Hello, hi everyone. As said, Samuel Zitelli, I'm the course leader. Just to define what's a course leader, I'm just in charge of the definition of the study programs, and on the other hand, managing the teachers and professors here in Naba. So I have quite an overview of what we do in this Bachelor of Art. And in this sense, I would like to, first of all, share a show reel of what we do. Everything you're going to see is done by students, so that's important to point out. And on the other hand, this will give you quite a preview of everything you would be able to do here in Naba. Of course, being a graphic designer nowadays is a totally different thing than it was 5 or 10 years ago. And the definition and everything that takes part of being a graphic designer or an art director changes. So that's why also this Bachelor of Art needs to be updated quite often. And so the offer of what we do and what we teach is big, and it keeps getting bigger and changing. So as I said, I will start with a preview of the show reel. I hope you can that everyone can see and hear my presentation.
Samuel, non possiamo vedere il video. Vediamo solo la copertina, non si vede il video.
Okay, I'm sorry, I was still sharing. Let me start once again. Yep. Let's start over. once again, what we've seen here is a part of everything we do in the Bachelor of Art. And of course, the time is too few to really make a list of everything that is included in this Bachelor of Art. But we believe that the experience of a student is much more important when directly explained by the student itself. That's why we have here today with us Liliana, that has been our student since last year, and now she's working already, and the work she's in, she found it directly in Naba, but I let her explain everything. So thank you, Liliana, for being here.
Thank you for having me. Nice to meet you all. I started Naba in 2020. And I chose the graphic design and art direction major. And so in the first year, it was they gave us a general overview of graphic design in general, especially, for example, typography, which is very important in the graphic design world, because it has a very strong impact, no matter whether it's the motion graphics or in a book. For example, we used typography to make our own monograms that we then made into, we all are designed our own business cards. So these are 3 examples of how I made my own typography to make my own brand image, and how I designed 3 different business cards. But it also is very useful to learn how to combine different fonts together. For example, in this case, we made a brochure. This is, for example, is using three different kinds of fonts. So you learn a lot about what kind of fonts, how to make fonts, how to combine fonts, the different weights, and how to work with them, how to make them legible, and how typography can speak a language of its own. And then we started to delve into brand identity, which is how to give a brand a distinct visual image. So we were given the task to design the brand identity of a new street art museum. And so I created why won't it go ahead? Okay. And so I created the logo, but also the entire brand book behind it. So explaining how other graphic designers can use my design and apply it onto different touch points. So explaining how to apply the logo on different colors, what typography to use. I used our pre-existing fonts and then created also my own. So this is an example of how many different courses then come together in one. Here, I also created my own my own iconography and signage based off of the fonts, and then also like advertising and how to apply it on the various touch points, social media, letterheads, merch, etc. And then in the first year is when you start learning the Adobe programs. So the basic ones, Illustrator, Photoshop, and InDesign. And then with these, we created 3 different book covers as a trilogy. So I designed the Odyssey, the Aeneid, and the Iliad. So the same style, but different visual impact. And so this is an example, but we also created our very own book using these 3 software programs. And so this is an example of what I created in the first year. But then in the second year, once we had a more broader overview of what we did, of what graphic design entails, we were asked to decide our major between brand design, creative direction, and visual design. I chose the creative direction major because I was interested in how I can use graphic design to communicate a message. For an example, editorial design, for example, so laying out content that's able that you can actually interact with in a human way. So we were asked to complete to create the layout of a book of the city of Milan for a brand. So speaking for a brand, I created a book for Carhartt streetwear, and I'm talking about the different areas of urban culture in Milan. And so these are some examples of the layouts that I created for the book. And we had to create everything, starting from how we created the articles, the images, how we put them together, the content, but also how we designed the book. And then not only do we do that in like physical publishing, this is an actual book, but also digital. So how we can think of a book, but on a digital device, because on the digital device, you have many more options, so we can be interactive. And so in this case, we were asked to use PubCoder, which is an ebook, it's a software used to create ebooks. And this is an example of what I did. Oh, sorry, why can't it play? So this is an example of how graphic designers really have to like stay with the times and really, so with an iPad and iPhones now, you have so many opportunities. And so we as graphic designers have to learn how to use these opportunities to make things more interesting. For example, in web design, so the front end design for websites, we learned how to design, prototype, and code websites. In this case, we were asked to make a website for a public event. I chose a wine fair, and this is So this is a short example of what I created, but we also created many more websites. And if I would have chosen the brand design major, I would have done even more. Then we also learned more about audio visual production and techniques. So how we can actually communicate through videos. And we also learned the software, Adobe Premiere, to create, to edit our own videos. I'm sorry that this is in Italian, so I don't think you will understand, but it's a quote from an Italian book. so we had to learn how to edit videos, but also how to film videos, and what's the thought process, what are the different kinds of techniques, and like how to create a storyboard and how to actually film these. And then we also learned other programs for motion design, for example, 3D rendering and animation. To make 3D renders, we learned how to use Max on Cinema 4D, and which we used to create a bedroom. So you can also use to create like set designs and CGI, etc. And so this is an example of what I created using Cinema 4D. But then we also started to learn how to use Adobe After Effects, which is an animation program. Oops. Why? I think I missed it. I don't think I placed it in there. I'm sorry. Anyways, going on. So then in my particular case, since I chose creative direction, which is more it's the advertising major per se, we started to learn more about how to communicate to the masses. For example, we created a print advertisement and a brand activation for Sony's new noise canceling headphones. Sorry, okay, there we go. And so we created a print and also digital out of home advertisements to promote these headphones, but also brand activation to show how they work and the potential that they have, the noise canceling potential that they have. So, for example, people on the streets, on the busy streets, were asked to sit down and put these headphones on, and then a song would play, and a flash mob would come out and dance in front of them at the same beat of the music that they were listening to, and then they were asked to take off the headphones and realize that they couldn't hear the music that was coming from outside, that could only hear what they were hearing from the headphones. But so the noise canceling feature was so good that they couldn't actually hear what was going on around them. And then we also participated in a contest where we were asked to create a advertising campaign for Legambiente to raise awareness about about fast fashion and the harm that it causes. And so me and my team, we created an advertisement that kind of replicated the communication on cigarette packs and how harmful it is for yourself, but also for the environment. And so again, also in print and on out of home touch points. And this project got a spot on the short list of the Smart School Awards. And this is another project that I did for the advertising a class. I created an illustration to raise awareness about like the ecosystem and how not let life fall out of sync by creating a series of podcasts about the important features, let's call it the clockwork of life, and how everything needs to work perfectly to work in harmony. If one part of the mechanism stops working, then everything will stop working. And then we also created a communication campaign designed for social media platforms. So not only do you learn how more traditional advertising, such as, billboards and advertisements in like magazines and newspapers, but also for social media. And so this is at their advertisements for a new Vespa that's electric, that also has lots of functionalities designed for the Gen Z, but using a retro. But then also how you can apply the one concept to also various different platforms. So, for example, this is Meta, so Instagram, Facebook, oops. And then this is for a filter they created for TikTok. And then in the third year is when you specialize even more in the various like in your major. And so in the second year, I had a mix of kind of a bit of everything, and then I start and then some more specific courses, and then the third year you focus mainly on the major that you chose. So I chose, and then you can also pick optional courses. And for example, I chose photography, in which was asked to photograph a perfume advertisement campaign. And so the idea was to embrace your aura. Aura is the name of the perfume that I chose to advertise. And the concept was to blur the lines between masculinity and femininity, meaning that a perfume doesn't necessarily have a gender. You should wear it whether if you like the smell or not. And so it was a feminine, considered kind of a more feminine perfume, but we chose to photograph it on a male body. And so these are examples of different photographs we took for the campaign. And these were all taken in the studio. Naba gives you the opportunity to go to a studio and learn how to use lighting, how to use the camera to get exactly what you want. It's a creative direction, my major, so creative methods of communication. I created an integrated media campaign for Wami water, which is for every liter of water you buy, they donate 100 liters to communities in need. And so I created both a out-of-home advertising, but also online. Okay, here we go. And so I also created an app to promote Wami water, so to remind you to drink, and that it also keeps track of the amount of water that you drink and shows you how many people that you are helping in that moment. Other than helping yourself because you're hydrating your own body, you're also hydrating communities in need that don't have direct access to running water in their homes. And so creating creative ways to communicate a concept and to communicate the mission of a brand. And so also the advertisements for the app itself, and also on social media, how we wanted to communicate the campaign. And so these are examples of what I created. And then in the advertising industry, before you film a advertisement, you first create, many times you create it's called what you call a stealomatic, which is literally stealing footage from other pre-existing videos, whether they're other advertisements, videos, TV series, YouTube videos, anything. Edit them together and create your own vision to help the client understand what your intention is. And this is a stealomatic that he created for to raise awareness about fake news.
Don't worry, kids. Lightning never strikes twice in the same place.
So on the contrary to the other video that I showed you, which I filmed and edited, this I took pre-existing footage. I literally stole other footage and put it together to create my own video. Then you also learn more about the different programs, especially Adobe programs. And in this case, to create motion design in communication. So first, I animated a 30-second promotional video for the brand of your choice. I chose Patagonia.
There's no combination of words I could put on the back of a postcard. No song that I could sing, but I can try for your heart. Our dreams, and they are made out of real things, like a shoebox of photographs with sepia tone loving. Love is the answer, at least for most of the questions.
So we learned how to, for example, integrated technologies because I used 3 different softwares to create this video. So you kind of learn how, so during the years you learn different different softwares, but also like different techniques. And then in the 3rd year is when you start to realize why you learned all of those things, and you put them together to put your vision to life. And then you learn also a lot about UX and UI design, which is user interface and user experience. And we were asked to create and code the app for a tablet. In my case, the theme I was given was inclusivity. And so we chose to make the study, like a place of study, more inclusive for dyslexic people. And so we created an app to help dyslexic students study. So this is an example of like the login process and everything you need to do to access the app itself, and then examples of how it works and the layout. And it's also integrated with like AI and machine learning. So the app also learns from you and can then help the students even more. And then again, with the same theme of inclusivity, I also created another app, but instead of for the tablet, for the iPhone. And I created a platform as a safe space for LGBT youth. So with articles about different topics, videos, influence, putting everything that could interest LGBT youth all in one space. And so I had to learn how to create content for a phone, which is for a small screen, and make it interactive, but also entertaining and engaging. And then also, since again, I chose the creative direction major, I also had to create a strategy to communicate this app on social media. And so this is an example of a TikTok created to promote the platform.
To be less afraid in general and to be less judgy of myself. Because at the end of the day, I'm gonna always be looking after myself and my happiness. Don't be so scared. Everything's gonna be fine.
I think you just need to listen to your heart. Like, even though it's hard, even if people telling you like, no, it's not right, just try to be self-confident.
Datti tempo e porta pazienza. Solo te puoi capire come ti senti. Quindi non aver paura di esprimere chi sei.
Let's be.
And then the final semester of the third year is dedicated to the thesis and to what's called the creative lab. And the creative lab is when you actually start to develop real projects for real clients. And so the entire class is given a brief by a real client, and then you divide into teams and start to work on these projects. And throughout the course, you present your project to the client. They will give you feedback, and then you work on their feedback. You rework your project, and then present it to them again. And then at the end of the course, the client will pick the winning project, and that will actually be developed in real life. So the year I did the creative lab, we were asked to create design a Chinese New Year and Mid-Autumn Festival inspired limited edition packaging for Venki. Venki, for those of you who don't know, they create, it's an Italian brand of chocolates. But since it's a limited edition packaging for the Chinese market, we had to kind of consolidate the Italian identity of the brand, but make it appealing to a Chinese target. The project, one of my projects was selected as the winning project, so I can't show you the one that will actually be produced. These are other ideas they came up with for the packaging that I am able to show you. And so these are inspired by the kind of the Italian Art Liberty style, which is the idea that that I sold it to the client, and the client did end up picking a packaging inspired by kind of the like stained glass windows and Art Liberty style. And these are some of the ideas that I came up with. Because the snake, because it was the year, it's for 2025, sorry, the year of the snake. And these are actually inspired not by the stained glass windows, but by the typical Italian ceramics called maioliche that you can see especially in southern Italy. And so these are a couple examples of other ideas, because when you present to a client, you can't just present one idea, you have to present multiple ideas, multiple options, and then the client will pick one, and the one that was picked you'll see eventually in the upcoming years. And then we are also asked to create a online serial campaign to promote Feltrinelli. Feltrinelli is an Italian bookstore that also has an e-commerce platform that has less traffic than the physical bookstore. So they asked us to create a campaign to draw people to actually buy from the website and not only from the physical store. This project also was selected by the client, but I can show it to you because it came out this past summer. And so these are some examples of the content that we created for the website, inspired by kind of like fiction and fantasy genre. That a book lets you kind of like delve into a world. It's an adventure of its own. You could just by reading from your couch, you can like transport yourself into another world. So these are some examples of what we created. And then Naba also gives you the opportunity to work on other extracurricular projects. For example, that's how I started working in the agency where I'm working at right now, because they offer contests and like real briefs that you can work on, and if your project gets selected, you can, there are various prizes you can win. Whether in my case it was an internship at this agency, but you can also win like money or get an actual job there. It depends on the project, and it depends on the contest. So this, for example, is the project that I sent for the contest. We were asked to create a social media campaign to promote Bridgestone. Bridgestone, they have like tires, and they wanted to promote this all-inclusive tire maintenance service called Mobox. I'm sorry. Okay, there we go. And so these are examples of some of the posts that I created to promote this all-inclusive tire service. So inspired by kind of like the Zen meditation world. That's why I created a mandala with tires, and then explain why it's a good service. So sit back, relax, and we'll take care of everything for you. And then also kind of a brand activation. So we created a Spotify playlist for different like relaxing playlists for car rides, depending on the length of the car ride. For example, like 2 hours, half an hour, 5 hours, etc. And this was the project that was selected, and that's why I'm now working in this agency. And before working in this agency, I had the opportunity to work with another agency, thanks to one of my professors during my course at Naba. He introduced me to some of his colleagues, and they asked me to design a newsletter for Ice Pharma. It's a pharmaceutical company. I had to write a newsletter about the biases within the workplace. And so it was a series of newsletters. Sorry, I don't know why okay, there we go. And so first I had to create the logo design of the newsletter itself, still following the guidelines of the brand book. The brand book is what I showed you in one of the first slides. When you have a brand identity and you have a logo, you have to show other designers how, give them guidelines of what they can and can't do. And so following the Ice Pharma's already pre-existing guidelines, I created another logo for this newsletter called Check Up Your Bias, a short guide to equality in the workplace. And this is as an example of one of the newsletters I created about the bias within roles in the workplace, and how we tend to think of the people in charge as males, when that doesn't necessarily have to be true. Who said that a man has to be the boss and not a woman? And it's also giving information about the bias and like statistics and data. Since I'm talking to this newsletter was going to go out to the profession, like a field of professionals who in the scientific field. So I wanted to be as precise as possible with the community, with the information I was giving them. So that's why you see all of the numbers, but also a simple layout that's easy to understand, but also visually entertaining. And then for the same agency, I was asked to create their new brand image. So it's a collective of agencies, actually. And they named themselves Side of Lorenteggio. And so I created this variable sol fonts where the O that signifies inclusivity kind of moves. And so this is an example of like the colors that I chose, the typography, how to apply the logo, examples of like posters designs, and also I also designed their website. And thank you so much for your attention. That's it for today.
Thank you,
Thank you
Liliana.
exactly. Thank you very much for making us aware of your past, because it's a really interesting past here in Naba. And I will leave the stage to the students in case they have questions for you or for Samuel.
You can also write it down in the chat and
In
we
the
can
chat,
read it. Yeah.
exactly.